All right, what's up, everybody? Joe Collins, Congressional Candidate, California's 43rd District. I'm sitting here with Spyder Midnyte. Came to the office out here in South Central Los Angeles to have some conversations and talk to me about some things I could change in the community, see what my positions are on a lot of things that have to do with South Los Angeles. And he brought me a list of demands from from people, and so I'm reading it. I like a lot of it, but I'm gonna go ahead and respond to most of it right now. These are all really good issues, and I tell you, I appreciate the people who are actually taking the opportunity to write this stuff down, because most people complain about a lot of things, but they won't put it on paper and actually ask for their request to be heard or even put into action. And I've been able to have a lot of success with getting things passed through Los Angeles County through the mayor, working with the police department as well as the communities. So let's go ahead and read it. The first one says, we must take any and all steps to end the inhumanity of the American system, which includes, but is not limited to, defunding and uprooting the police, the justice system, severe training, vetting, process, communities, housing, school, healthcare, etc., defund ICE, reform the capitalist American system. To respond to this one, when it comes to the inhumanity in the system that we have to understand that these things are built into the very fabric of the United States. And the only way that we can start to address a lot of these situations is if we ourselves start to, take a leadership position and get into office, so we can remove policy that does not apply to us or that we feel is inhumane, and start putting policy in that's going to benefit the entire United States of America, or if you run local, your society or your community. When it comes to dismantling or defunding the police, I'm not a fan of it, and the reason why is because we have to understand that we don't live in a perfect world. And hopefully this answers every single question that has to do with the police department or defund the police. There are still violent crimes that goes on in America every single day. I mean, not just with what we see in police brutality against the black and brown communities or poor communities, to include white communities as well, but I mean, we have child sex trafficking, we have drug running, we have violent crimes that goes down in our communities every day, all day. And so, it'll be crazy for us to defund police and allow criminality to run rampant in our streets. So I'm not for defunding the police, but when it comes to severe change in training and vetting process, I definitely agree with that. This is one thing that we've been able to talk about with a lot of community leaders. We definitely need our law enforcement to be trained to come into our communities. I mean, we in South Los Angeles, and we have law enforcement that are coming from other cities, other states, to police in Los Angeles when they have no idea of the social construct of Los Angeles. So we're in a different system, but we definitely need to redo that training or implement social training so police can have some type of idea of what they're walking themselves into. Defunding ICE, I'm not a fan. The reason why I'm not a fan is because we have a huge illegal immigration problem in California, in America, but California. And one thing that comes along with illegal immigration is we have to understand that the toll that illegal immigration takes on the society that we have. I know it sounds nice to let everybody in our country because they're trying to escape some type of oppression in their own country, but when illegal immigrants come here to the United States, if they have children, sometimes the children are not theirs, and the children are victims of sex trafficking. But if they have children, especially in California, they will allow those children to get housing before they allow American citizens to get housing, even though you've been on a waiting list for a very long time. Also, when it comes to jobs, a lot of jobs will hire illegal immigrants for lesser wage than they would if they were hired people who live in our communities. And then you have illegal immigrants that would, start jobs and hire only illegal immigrants for construction projects or what have you. But illegal immigration plays a huge toll on our society, especially if you're looking for housing, if you're looking for jobs, or if you have a family member who is a senior citizen. They're not getting benefits from the city or the state, and they create a bill to give illegal immigrants those benefits. And another thing is allowing illegal immigration to run rampant in our states. It incentivizes people from other countries breaking our laws when you and I ourselves will be convicted of the same laws in the United States, or if we go to another country, but I'm not a fan of defunding ICE. But Obama did, through DACA, promise a lot of children or young people the opportunity to become a citizen. And I think that they are owed that promise. And I think we need to find a different pathway, a better pathway to citizenship for the legal immigrants that we have right now, just to make everything fair across the board. When it comes to capitalist America, I don't see that happening. The reason why is because capitalism, America was built on capitalism. So if you remove capitalism from the construct of America, then we have to rely on the government. And that's never a good idea. And I'll give you an easy reason why. The government is $26-27 trillion in debt. That if you want to continue to trust the government to take care of you when they can't balance a checkbook, then you seriously are crazy. In all due respect, it's crazy. But I think in order to combat the capitalist American system, we have to become capitalists ourselves. So let's stop being comfortable with working 9-to-5 jobs and figure out ways that we can start our own corporations. And I don't mean working in the job that you start. I mean building a corporation and hire people to run that corporation for you. I think that's more beneficial than getting rid of the capitalist America. If you can't beat them, join them. Once you're on the inside, make the change. Abolish the prison industrial complex. I absolutely agree with that. The 94 crime bill was one of the things that enhanced the prison industrial complex. It sort of created a pay-for-play type of atmosphere within the United States, to where you have mandatory minimums, you have no mandatory maximums, and it incentivizes arresting and throwing in jail people of color from inner cities. You can go look at Joe Biden's rant on, the reason why the crime bill should be passed, and he specifically says that he does not care if we didn't have opportunities. The fact of the matter is, we're criminals. Police officers need more training, absolutely. More hours, absolutely. Mental health checks and training, absolutely. Special needs and children, absolutely. Defund the police, not necessary. We definitely need to get more healthcare services to our police officers. I definitely agree with that. We've been talking to the police chief and the police commanders about trying to get more training implemented, especially social training and mental health training. I think that's going to be a big factor in how we police our communities in the future. Stop placing refineries and polluting toxic facilities in minority, blacks, and underprivileged communities. I absolutely agree. But I think they need to stop building minority communities around refineries and polluted areas. That is a problem, and we can actually address that. I can't understand that. Just system is one where police will be replaced by unarmed civilian guard. I think that's irresponsible to replace the police department with an unarmed civil guard, seeing as though that we still have issues outside of the social issues we have with the police department. Training and mental health checks and making sure that the police officers have more mental health training to be able to identify those type of things would be better than putting an unarmed civil guard. Plus, who polices the unarmed civil guard and what laws do they follow? Okay, past judgment. Solely providing the infrastructure for private systems or for prison, equal education, military, state police must be dismantled. I agree. I don't think our police force should be militarized. I think more training, definitely healthcare. Okay, I agree with that. Charge LAPD officers, hire diverse police officers. Consider a quota system to bring more diversity. The thing about the quota system is you can use that in a good or bad way. They can say, okay, we have too many black or Latino cops, we have to hire more white cops. But looking at the police department infrastructure, I think they are set up very well when it comes to diversity. We just don't see it because we don't have 24/7 interaction with the police officers. But if you notice, if you read the LA Times, police officers, especially since there is rioting, police officers are being charged with violating the rights of people when they beat them with the batons. I've seen the videos. I spoke with the police chief about that, as well as the police commanders, and I told them you have to address that. So we are making headway. They are opening investigations to find out if these things are happening. I think one thing that we have to start to look at as well is when police come into a different department, we need to check all departments across the United States and make sure that they don't have any pre-existing charges or reasons why they got fired. I think that would help. expunge criminal records. Yep. I think Donald Trump with the First Step Act has done that already. We just have to be able to utilize it, but you won't hear about it in your communities because a lot of people hate the president. But my thing is, if you have a president, whether you like him or not, use the programs that he has to benefit us, and vote about him in 4 years. Free public transit for all of LA. That's not a good idea, because people who work in a public transit sector needs to get paid too, and that's where the majority of that money goes to, along with upkeep for that transit system. Reform legislations, fund communities. We just did that. We're working on that as well. I asked the mayor if he can look over local laws that can be used to target people of color in our inner cities. And he also moved $150 million from the police budget, which is already $4 billion, to inner cities. And hopefully we can keep this going, or get a larger budget, separate budget for our communities when a new fiscal year comes out. Government budgets are really finicky like that. You have to spend more money to get more money for the next year, but hopefully we can drive the spending and get an increase in budget. Discrimination of black people when we are in groups. I don't think it's necessarily the discrimination of black people when we are in groups. I think it's the perception that comes along with having a large crowd gather in one area. The propensity for violence and agitation is very high. You throw a chair, everybody goes crazy. So I think we need to start policing ourselves and listening to the rally leaders or the demonstration leaders in those aspects, and we also have to police ourselves. It's good to place the blame on everybody else, but when this personal responsibility comes into play with a lot of these situations, and let's look at it from both spectrums. Both city council and mayor's office from taking donations from developers and defund the police completely. $150 million is a slap in the face. It's unacceptable. Public housing, complete ban on evictions. I agree that the mayors and city councils shouldn't be taking bribes. That's what we call them, not donations, bribes. But I can't say if they are or not, so I'm not going to speak on that. Defund the police completely. I think we've talked about that. $150 million is a slap in the face. Maybe, but it's better than nothing. In the new fiscal year, hopefully we can get a bigger budget so we can start to get more programs in inner cities, take care of our senior citizens and homeless. Okay, here again, I want the LAPD to be defunded and have money go towards the community support systems. Electoral college abolished. I think the reason why the electoral college would never be abolished is because we have a system of checks and balances. If we allow people to be voted, i.e. the president to be voted by one party, we would never get the president that was going to do something for us. We'll get the president that everybody likes regardless of record because they sound good. The electoral college is actually, it's a really good thing. We don't want any more AOCs. I mean, she is not the brightest apple in the box. We definitely need money towards our community support system. So actually, we need more community support systems. We have large communities. And I think a lot of people suffer from some type of PTSD if you live in the inner cities. So we definitely need community support systems. We don't have enough. We need some that are affordable or some that's free for people who live in the county. I want people safe to live their lives. You can't have people be safe and live their lives if we abolish the police department, because we'll have crime running around our cities. But I definitely understand that sentiment. Everybody wants the system to change, and I think that's the biggest thing, is figure out a way to change the system that's beneficial for everybody. A group of people broke off. Okay. Okay, so Lotus Omega, I'm going to ask you this right here. When we talk about where people originally came from, the biggest issue that we have is proving that people came from, where they said they came from. Just like when you come to America, everybody thinks that every single person of color got here through slavery. And reading the Library of Congress, we know that that is a lie. If you read the Library of Congress, there were people here already. History for black people did not start with slavery. We traveled across the entire globe before Christopher Columbus begged the Spaniards for money. So we were already here. when you talk about people coming from the Caucasus Mountains and all that stuff, it's neither here nor there. I think one of the biggest things that we have to worry about is how can we work together to create change that's mutually beneficial for everybody. And we got to get rid of laws and policies that give people a step up or a step down on someone else, because that hinders us more than everything. When I was in Minneapolis, we were able to talk to the new Black Panthers and one of the old freedom fighters, and he said this thing. He said fighting for civil rights was good, but Dr. King was a fool because he should have been fighting for human rights. He got comfortable with civil rights, and I agree with that. We should have been fighting for human rights, and right now we have civil rights, but what we don't have is our humanity. So the next fight that we have to step up and fight is the right for our humanity. We must utilize national resources to fund Jumpstart and equality promoting programs, stop educational redlining by funding cities and neighborhood gaps. So redlining and education has nothing to do with each other, in my opinion. Redlining has everything to do with where people live at in the inner cities. When it comes to education, the reason why we have the poor education in inner cities is because the state fails to provide us with the federal funding needed in order to make our schools better. So the majority of our schools are paid by tax dollars from housing. So when people can't own homes, we can't get better schools because everybody is renters. So we have to be able to find a way to divert some of those federal funds into our schools if we want better schools. And I agree, we must utilize our resources, our natural resources, to jumpstart equality promoting programs, but that starts with removing laws that were put in place that got us where we are in the first place. So I definitely agree. These are all good. Like I said, some of them are real good, but some of them, in my opinion, it's like an irresponsible move that's made off of emotions, and we cannot let emotions rule us. We have to be thinkers. But these are good. Some of these we're already working on, so it's good that everybody's on the same page. Some of these, unfortunately, we won't be able to get done, and I couldn't, to be honest, I wouldn't support it defunding the police department. Training, education, definitely would support that. And then getting some more resources to our cities. So I appreciate this. We're going to definitely work on it, though.
So I want to say thank you. I appreciate the fact that you took the time to actually listen and read the concerns of the people. Mm-hmm. And I wish there were more politicians like you. Yeah. So this is Spyder Midnyte, and I'm going to say goodbye.